about Kentucky's newfound interest in the international game. And I do think that that is something that John Calipari is very interested in exploring, and something that he has been taking a closer look at. In fact, on the other side of the aisle, as Orlando Antigua and Chin Coleman are in looking at some international prospects in Memphis, there are the third assistant coach, Chuck Martin, right now is in Serbia, looking at some other international talent as well. He is at the 2023 FIBA U18 European Championships out there. Sean, that's not an accident. Cal doesn't just randomly say, hey, brand new assistant coach that we just hired a month ago, stop what you're doing, pack your bags, and go to Serbia after you just got back from Toronto last week. Like, there's a method to Cal's madness. There's a reason why Cal would want his, one of his new lead assistants to make his presence felt out in Serbia. There's a method to Cal's madness, and I do think that we will be seeing an uptick in international recruiting for John Calipari, especially. What do you think the value is there, Sean? Why is that so important?
I think there's value in making sure that you kind of cover all grounds when it comes to recruiting. Not just here in the United States and things, but covering it more on a whole world basis, and looking at what the talent is. And if those guys want to play college basketball and they're going to go elsewhere and play, why don't you look at those international prospects, and you look at other parts of the world? You look at Canada, you look at Europe, you look at all those different areas, and you kind of see the talent there. And maybe this is a transition that's kind of happening in college basketball, given NIL and everything else that's going on, and the shifts. I mean, I think it's really encouraging to see Kentucky doing this and doing it all together today. You get both those, and you've been all over it and stuff on Twitter and putting that out there. I think that's really cool to see them going to work. And like you mentioned, Chuck Martin, that's not random. Like, you just, sending him and going there, that's a pretty big trip and a pretty big thing for him to do. He's been on the job now for 3 to 4 weeks at Kentucky, and he's already kind of out, doing some work and doing some things in parts where Kentucky's not been recruiting and evaluating. So I think it's encouraging to see them hitting those areas of basketball, because you got to look at this thing from a whole world perspective and where the game is trending and where the game is going. And if you can get help, and there are talented pieces there that are willing to come play for your program that can help, absolutely look at it, because it just broadens everything that you're trying to do when it comes to filling out your rosters, not just this season, but moving forward in college basketball.
And I think you bring up a good point, just from a fundamental standpoint, the European game, just how fundamentally sound they are, and the high basketball IQs. And, these guys have been playing professionally since they were 11 years old. Like, this is their entire lives. So Cal has been, like, you remember 4 or 5 years ago, I don't even remember how long it's been since then, but do you remember when Cal had a whole spiel at a press conference talking about how he wants to bring in a Chinese basketball player? Like, he said that there was a fan that reached out to him and said, hey, I'd love for somebody that looks like me to play for the University of Kentucky. And he was like, I think that'd be an awesome thing to go find that, Chinese basketball player that would be a perfect fit at Kentucky, style of play, whatever. This is something that I don't think is brand new to Cal from an ideal perspective. Like, I think he has wanted to pursue this in the past, and they've gone overseas to different events and different FIBA events. A lot of times when Team USA is participating in different recruiting events that coaches are able to attend in person, they're always, Cal and his staff are always in attendance. But for them to go all in on the international pool of talent that is so deep and such an unexplored, waters, like it makes so much sense. There's a reason why UCLA, and we'll talk about, I know there's a lot of talk about it at Daimara, and if that's a player that Kentucky's interested in, and hit the dynamic with UCLA, but UCLA really dug into their roots there, and Arizona recently, and a couple different colleges have kind of seen that is a pool of talent that really has not been hit on often. And it makes way too much sense for Kentucky being Kentucky, John Calipari being John Calipari, to, with the clear appeal that is this program and this head coach, to not hit on that deeper. I think that this is, again, not a secret. And I think we're going to start seeing some real movement, maybe even sooner rather than later, about what Kentucky could be doing on